Well, welcome back to another episode of East County Voices. I'm still getting used to saying that. So tonight we got Mary, we got Patty, we got Mr.
We're here. We're
Lord.
getting echo. Carlos.
You getting an echo?
Yeah.
Carlos is clear to me.
She made it. And then hold on.
Patty, put an earpiece in.
Lauren's mic, you gotta unmute, Lauren.
Yeah, I was checking to make sure that I wasn't the cause of the echo.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
we good. We good. Welcome, Paris.
I'm gonna log back out. I'll log back in.
Oh, where'd Miss Patty go?
She's just gonna log out and back in.
Oh, she thinks it's her. It's her. That's why we're echoing.
I think she just needs to wear an earpiece.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Hey, family.
Hello.
So we usually start our show just kind of doing a brief overview of community updates. And this week's community update was pretty exciting. We went to the Antioch Unified School District board meeting last night.
Dun, dun, dun.
Where our president, Antonio Hernandez, who stands up for bullying, was going to be censored. And we pulled as many people we could out into the community. Mary Rocha, whom is another person of color, decided that she was going to make a list of claims of things that he violated. And they were going to vote on whether or not he should remain able to do the job that he was voted to do. We had probably 15, 20 community members come in with solid arguments as to why Antonio needs to remain the president. And when they got to the vote, I almost cried. 2 abstained, the 2 people that normally vote yes in his corner. 2 voted no, and the only one that voted yes was Mary, and she looked very foolish.
All on YouTube.
It's all on YouTube.
Yeah.
Patty, of course, is a superstar. When she goes there, she's on point. She makes good connections and good comments. We had Frank with us, Frank Sterling.
Shout
He's
out Frank.
A DJ on KPFA, and he made the link between the Antioch Police Officers Association racist tactics and their support for her. So it was interesting. It was an interesting evening. It was a big win for our community. It got picked up by the local news stations, and I'm proud of Antioch today.
Heck yeah. Whoop
Yep.
whoop. You almost made me cry when you were up there. I was like, "Whoa, Mary!"
Yeah.
Mama Bear came out.
I couldn't help it. I was mad.
Sorry about the connection earlier, y'all. So I had the live stream in another window, so it was playing from YouTube while the live. So that's what it was me. But I'm back, and sorry, my neighbors are having a little incident. Sounds like little kiddos. Can you hear in the background, or how's the background?
No.
Okay, cool. So let's carry on. We're doing community updates, yeah, Mary? You're leading that? Cool. All right. And then we'll get into introductions after.
And then you went to the city council meeting. We had some wins there too, didn't we?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So yes, we had the very end was a really powerful one. And that was a proclamation to bring back the Antioch train station, or at least acknowledge it. And so in the proclamation, our mayor asked for specifications that there was no approval from the city council when this decision was made. And there was no fight back. Lori instantly was like, yes, let's do it. We'll have the proclamation draft written next week. Like, she was really, really fast. And I thought that was great. I was like, okay, you're responding to the community. His name, Eddie Gums. He closed out very powerfully, holding elected officials accountable, saying, hey, like, we are voters here. This is what the people want. It was beautiful. There was some other wins earlier in the evening. Remind me, Mary. Housing. Yeah. Housing. There was I felt like there was a little bit of friction because there was that's what
I heard too. It's like everybody's got their own idea on what to do with housing and they can't get on the same page, is what it sounded like to me.
Okay.
Like some wanted to do it like for people that are struggling to maintain their houses, where the other one thought that they should be all inclusive. Which I don't think everybody needs to be all inclusive, if they can afford their home.
Okay.
But that's just me. We could talk about that on another show, an entire show.
Totally.
We are here today to meet Miss Lauren and Miss Paris and hear about Lift Their Voices.
Yes.
So and which one of you would like to start telling us about what it is that you want to tell us?
I have the agenda pulled up too. So storytellers, right? We're all storytellers in our own way, and I've seen work in the community. Would definitely love to hear about it. How are we storytellers? Let's go. Oh, and introductions also, you guys. Like, did we do introductions already or not yet?
No, okay. That was behind the scenes.
Okay, reintroduce. I'm Patty. Hi, everyone. We have Carlos, our amazing tech, Mary, our host, 3 hosts. Lauren, please tell us a bit about yourself. Quick intro.
Yeah, my name is Lauren Dalbert. I'm a program manager with RCF Connects and one of the co-founders of Comment Studio, which is our community enterprise that's based in East Contra Costa County. And nice. I'll pass it to my co-lead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here. Sorry, I was a little late. And then I saw that Lauren had his Comment Studio shirt on, so I had to go put my shirt on. So I did like a little wardrobe change. But my name is Paris. I am living in Antioch. I'm a resident of Antioch. I'm a community leader of Comment Studio. And I've also facilitated in this space as well. And I have been a part of Comment Studio for a couple of years. So I have really seen it from inception, and we're still like budding and getting to this next iteration. So I'm super excited to be here and super to be excited to be leading this work with Lauren and our other community members and family as well. Yay. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for joining us. And a little bit about this space. We created this community conversation space to learn about families, programs, organizations, issues in our community, to bring it up and talk about it. Because, we could post on social media and tags, but I think that things can move more efficiently and effectively if we have these conversations and learn about what's out there and learn how we can all work together to make our community better for everyone. So yeah, let's kick it off. Mary, are you on the Google Doc also?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. So why Storytell? Why Storytell? Oh, you're muted.
I'm sorry.
Is that open to anyone?
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say that storytelling is really important for all of us, not just some of us or the few or those who are at the top of organizations, but it's really important for every single one of us and on whatever medium or however we tell stories, our minds are wired to understand life through narrative and through stories, and how we just, create relational trust is very much so entrenched in the way that we tell stories and why we tell them. So storytelling in itself, very, very key, very important. And I will pass it to Lauren to discuss more about how narrative can be transformational, and why we utilize it within our community space.
Thank you, Paris. So, why tell stories? I'm pretty sure that stories are probably the reason that we even developed language, so we could tell people what just happened, and it's probably the oldest form of entertainment. We can, tell stories to educate our children about, things that can, inspire them, but also, cautionary tales as well. So, and storytelling is how we connect with others. By hearing their stories and sharing our stories, we find out what we have in common with each other.
Yeah.
And so, and the more transparent you can be with your story, the deeper your relationships will be with others, and the more relationships you will be open to. And so, that's one of my core personal values is transparency, behind courage first, and then transparency. Because and I'm finding that I wouldn't be able to do the work that I'm doing and being able to produce the results that we're getting if I wasn't as transparent, just letting people know that we all just walk, talk, live, and breathe, and we're all just trying to survive. We all have challenges that we're dealing with, and by making that okay through story without shame, that's the other thing, being able to share that transparency part about being able to share my story without shame, because I no longer judge myself for that. And so that's why I tell my story. And plus, it creates opportunities. If I hadn't told my story, I wouldn't even be in the job that I'm in right now. And so that's why to tell story.
Absolutely. Mary,
Nice.
how do you tell stories? Are you a storyteller? Are we?
Oh, absolutely. You've been on lots of walks with me. I just talk to people. I see people. I don't know the people. Sometimes I know the people, and I just start a conversation.
Yeah.
Sometimes those conversations go really well and end in a hug with an old man in the Walmart lane.
Mhm.
Sometimes,
Mhm.
they don't want to hear the story, and that's their prerogative. But
Yeah.
I love to talk to people, and I love to hear about them.
Yeah.
The old man I was telling you about, he was so fantastic. He was telling me about, he was insisting to climb up on this ladder and get me water. I was like, I could do it. He's like, no, gentlemen get water for ladies. They lift heavy things. He was probably in his late 70s. And he was telling me about growing up picking to okra. And he had to tell me his whole life story in like 5 minutes. And I was so pleased that he decided to share his story with me. And I don't know if that's what you guys are talking about, but I sure appreciate it when somebody opens up to me and wants to tell me something personal about them.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm thinking, like, on this platform, sharing stories, it's like it's a vulnerability that people, it's a barrier that people are afraid of judgment. People may be afraid of what other people think or how to use their voice. So us as advocates and leaders, it's important for us to share our stories without without that fear, because I used to be really quiet about my personal experiences, but as we're just getting older and wiser, it's the ethical thing to let others in the next generations know, hey, this is reality, these are the consequences of, or these are the signs of. So definitely storytelling to inform our community around us and empower each other. Yeah, that's how I feel about storytelling. And Carlos, you're gonna write a book, right?
Right. I'm working on a children's book right now. Yeah. About part of my childhood, so I won't say too much about it, but it's gonna be good. Um, so yeah, I'm. I figured I was gonna do a cookbook, but I don't know. I switched it over to the children's book, and then I got more creative with that. So that'll be the first one. Then out will come the cookbook next that everybody's anticipating and waiting for.
And with
Yeah.
recipes or stories, that is storytelling itself. And for y'all, for our guests, Paris and Lauren, Carlos here is an amazing chef, and he has his own Carlos taco seasonings. He won't tell us the secrets. Let's see your taco seasoning. Oh,
Nice.
But he brings it to restaurants with you. So if you ever want to, make your food taste better.
And I have my own stickers too.
Cool.
And he's also a chaplain and goes out and tells stories, of faith in the community every
Awesome.
week.
Well, if you get to the point where you want to have your children's book turned into like an animation or even a animation series or something on YouTube, check us out, man. That's
yeah,
what
for
we're
sure.
doing. Yeah.
Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, I think we're members already, aren't we, Patty? Did we
Well,
join?
Patty's plugged in. Yeah. You joined yesterday?
Yeah. Did I join yesterday?
My man. My man.
Yes, we got Carlos
Man, not no
joining.
papers or
us.
nothing, but,
Carlos definitely joined us yesterday, so I'm so
Nice.
excited, super excited.
Awesome.
And yeah, very open. Mary, you're next.
All right. You don't have to twist my leg. I'll figure it out.
but yeah, I'm open. I'm open to animated story. I've got many, childhood stories that we could share.
That's
So,
what
yeah.
I want to do is bring our stories, to light and in our representation, not somebody else, that we don't have to work through somebody else's culture to get
Yeah.
our stories told. We can tell our own stories and maintain control over our own representation. And because media is so powerful, man.
Oh, yeah.
As far as I can think about that whole idea I was talking about earlier about shame, right? And that I can remember watching old black and white TV shows with black and white people mostly. And there was this one scene of this woman and her husband having an argument, and the thing that stuck in my head was her saying, "What are the neighbors gonna think?" And everybody's just always worried about somebody finding out something about them that's going to cause embarrassment and shame. And I think that our culture has that on steroids. And so
Yeah.
I knew that if I was going to be able to transcend the traumas, both military and those from being born, the intergenerational traumas of being born a descendant of American slaves, that I was going to have to address that particular shame aspect of my existence and my internal experiences. And so that's why my second value is transparency, because I have nothing to be ashamed of, as a being. And then going back to old media, the other thing that I can remember is another old black and white show with a black and white people, and the husband is arguing with a politician because his wife can't sleep at night. My wife can't sleep at night because of crime that's happening on the other side of town where they don't even live. And that those are the messages that drive militarization of the police, because Karen on the other side of town can't sleep, so they got to send the popo into the other side of town and quiet things down. And so there's a lot of these old narratives that we are dealing with that drive the social issues that we deal with to this very day.
Oh, it screams Antioch, what you just described right there.
Wow.
You described Antioch.
Why, Mary? Why, Mary?
Why? Oh, I don't know. we have people living in the nicer areas that are all freaking out about the homeless people downtown, and they're worried about thugs and it being ghetto, which are very derogatory and have nothing to do with most of the people that are living there. And look at what our police did. Our police is the definition of police, which I'm going to go back to a healing session that I heard from one of my dear friends tell me. Police was an organization to catch runaway slaves.
Yeah, facts.
So, not that we have runaway slaves, but they sure are not good to people of color here in Antioch. And we have, 41 pages of text messages to prove it? 13 people that have been demoted and fired.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still not enough.
Some probably rehired.
Right?
Yes, and Maloney is still at every city council. Michael Maloney, there he is. And he's the one that murdered Luis Gongorapa, the houseless community member in San Francisco. And his family came out and we protested together at our former mayor's business. We protested, we marched. The family came out all the way from the city though. And then it's just a slap in the face to the community to still see this officer and re-traumatizing the victims. But there he is. I kind of feel like we're being tested, y'all. I still feel like we're being tested.
What was he the police officer that they had come to give the police report at the Police Oversight Commission meeting?
He was going to, but
we shut it down.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
yes.
We shut it down. We didn't.
I wasn't there for that, but I heard. Yes,
I was there, and it was right after my mom and dad died, and it was just so emotional. It drained me. I had to get out of there fast. But I'm glad they shut it down. I'm glad that Devin spoke up, and I'm glad they shut it down.
There's still a lot of stories that haven't been told. There was parts of some hearings of these atrocities that have happened. And one of our local activists, we had a conversation, and I want to share this with y'all, that, her attorneys didn't really know her story. There's a lot of folks being represented, but it's important that an attorney knows the entirety of how a person was a victim of things. And I'm speaking of a really amazing community advocate, Shagufa. She was terrorized on many levels, and no one knows her. A lot of people still don't know her story. And I talked to her and I said, hey, look, we need to do it. And her roadblock is not having a platform or not knowing how to approach the trauma that she endured, coming from Nicole Sedano, calling her family, her immigrant family, saying your daughter's doing this and terrorizing our community, and then going online and minimizing, belittling, being a racist against her Muslim heritage. And
they were really, really sexually explicit with her too.
They were. The police officers were. They picked her up in an unmarked car. They stalked her, all kinds of, and so, but she's such a strong advocate, and she's doing so much in the housing justice. And so I'm with that in her still. And there's still fights to be fought, but there's also still stories to be told, because if not, then what? Then there will maybe not be any justice or long-term changes, because overall this was unprecedented, what we uncovered here. And there's a number of, so yeah, it's a lot of things that happen, but what do we do next? How can we activate and collectively build power as a community? I think that's something that you're tackling in Comment Studios with, can you touch on that?
Go ahead, Paris.
Yeah, so we definitely are tackling this in Common Studio. We are really, well, over the past like 3 years, we've worked directly with community leaders, resident leaders that have not only been able to grow a sense of belonging amongst one another, but also like learn more about how they can get activated right from where they are. So when it comes to telling our stories, when it comes to narrative, like we have a very community focused lens in regards to starting where you are and really understanding that you're inherently valuable. It's not about telling your story to get validation from, anyone else in the community or folks that you may view as like more authoritative or higher up. It's really about understanding that that story and who you are is valuable, whether it's within, even still within you. We all have stories, sometimes internal, that drive us to do what we do and how we do it. So really just being able to unpack that, understand that, and utilize that, that is power, especially when it comes to accessing the power that we already have within ourselves as a people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mhm.
That touched me right here.
Amazing.
Nice. Yeah, I'll go ahead, please.
Side note, Mary is in a new-ish chapter. She is a military mom. So Lauren is also a veteran. Mary's son, veteran. I got my veteran ID application today. So background.
Okay.
Nice.
So we're still classified as like on active duty or in reserves or
No.
My son's on active. My son's active,
I was
but
wondering
he
about
has
that.
had hip surgery, so he's just sitting
Got
at a desk right
your
now.
VA card just now?
Yeah, I had my military ID, but my contract ended. It's done April 26th.
Okay.
Chapter closed, and I don't know, I feel a little liberated. I feel a little more like free, and it was such a great experience. No regrets, but there was no one in there. It was kind of like a what is that? Shoot, Twilight Zone in there, because usually it's a hustle and bustle and a lot of veterans. But I walked in there and it was quiet. There was no one in there. I said, "Hey, can I get my card? What do I need?" And we did it, and I got it, and it'll be coming in 10 business days. Yay!
Nice. Did you go to Oakland,
No, Martinez.
Martinez? Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we can go to the military bases.
Yep. And you can get into the VA. Well, I used to have to go to the VA over in Oakland at the federal building, and that's why I ended up having to get that federal ID card that you have to get on planes and stuff like that. Because you couldn't even get into the VA office because you couldn't get into the federal building without that special state ID.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to be a dependent one day, Mary. You are going to be the dependent of a veteran later down the road. You'll be
You know what my kid told me when he enlisted?
what?
He says, I had to do my stuff in case I die. Dad's gonna get the money, and Mom, you're gonna get the body because I think you want that more. It's
Dang.
like, great.
Cool.
Dark humor, a little dark humor.
That's my kid.
Oh.
That's
Well,
my kid.
as mothers, we have stories to tell. How many mamas do we have in the space here today? How many papas we got in the space today? Okay, so as parents too, right? We have a lot of stories to tell.
That's a whole lot of stories right there.
Okay, Carlos, give us one.
I know, right? Okay, so
Carlos is the adopter of all children.
right, yeah. Shout out to my kids at Hudson Court.
Thank you, Miss Sharina.
My oldest daughter, I'll tell you a story. She didn't talk much as a kid, but now she don't shut up. But she when she was
I'm
real
gonna tell her
little,
you said that.
she knows. You watching, you know already. So, but she just like me. My oldest is me. So I had a minivan back then, and I would sit her. My thing was I wanted her right behind me in case I hit. Then she, a car or something, she'd be behind me, so my big old self would stop her. But I used to give her a bottle. She was always eating, so I gave her a bottle, and every time she finished that bottle, she would throw it at the back of my head. I'm like, oh man, every time, bink, and she hit right dead center. She was good. Oh, look. They
Is that
asked
where
me
she
to
learned to
share.
be a football mom?
Right. So, yeah, I had to still got a bump back there somewhere, but yeah, that's just one. But it's like they grow up so fast. She's 30 years old now. Oh, sorry, am I supposed to tell your age? Yeah, she's 30. So my oldest is 30, and it goes by so fast. But I think with stories and telling, telling the stories to people, the memories just live on, especially as we tell these stories to them and they tell them to their kids, So there's grandparents that they haven't met, so they only know them through the stories that we tell them or that I tell them. So, and that's how the memories just keep going. So,
okay. Question. In the community spaces that was created through like Common Studios, were folks, I guess, what strategies would you use to help people navigate through their comfort zones and fear of sharing? Is there any advice you could give someone that, like for instance, Shagufa, and if she wants to start telling her story, maybe like journaling or what would you recommend?
Well, first in our community space, I just believed that I needed to model the behavior that I wanted others to pick up, lead by example. And so I was, I as far as like transparency, I started in the Black men's group under the program. It was called Mobility Labs. That's what we used to be called. But then when that space dissolved, I was asked if I might be interested in leading the women's group and making it a co-ed group. And so, I see on the agenda we have, our story and our lived experience. My lived experience doesn't come from this space. I didn't have any experience in nonprofit space. Prior to this role, I had a part-time role with RCF for about 18 months doing some homeless work with the county because I had been homeless for 5 years prior to working for RCF. But the former chief operating officer, because of my storytelling in these RCF check-in meetings, asked me if I'd be interested in taking on this role and leading this community group. And so one of the first things, I'm kind of countercultural to a lot of what I was raised up in American culture. So I don't embrace the hierarchy idea. I wanted our community space to be flat, where everybody's voice has the same value. So, I was always a community member first who just happened to work for RCF and just happened to be the program manager, and trying to make it a space that's safe-ish, because if it's a completely safe space, there's no room for or there's little room for folks to have to practice sitting in discomfort and leveling up, because that's, growth requires pain. That's why sometimes they call it growing pains. And it's not like hurting folks, but just learning to sit in that discomfort. Because let me tell you, I was very uncomfortable having to facilitate, 2 2-hour meetings every month with no former background in public speaking, no former background in facilitation. I just had a drive to want to figure out how can I have a positive effect on the community that I live in. Thus, you see it over my head, positive community transformation, and then just having the courage to go into the space and figure it out. Take 2 steps, learn what I can learn. Bump my head, do something wrong, and that's the other part about being transparent and removing that shame piece, because a lot of these lessons took place in front of 20 to 30 of my fellow community members who I just had to be comfortable. And if I made a mistake, if I accidentally offended someone, it wasn't done intentionally. It gave me an opportunity to practice repairing that relationship on the spot right then and there. And so by modeling all of these things and folks just watching me learn and watching me grow, I think that allowed them to say, well, and coming from where I came from the streets, literally, and now doing the stuff that we're doing, nothing can help folks find their courage. And watching somebody else who's just like them from where they're from doing big things, and so and then the other part is I think you have to have, especially with certain traumas, there's stuff that I had to work through with a VA therapist. Before I was ready to share those things with the community, because it's a lot of stuff that stigma is applied to, mental health issues in our country. I think we're getting better at that as a culture, but mental health issues in our nobody wants to be seen as crazy,
I don't mind being called crazy.
Dang.
Did you have your hand raised, Paris? Because I'll take up all the air. No, you didn't.
I'm sorry.
No, I I didn't necessarily have my hand raised, but I definitely agree with everything that you said. Not only have I been a witness to it, but I feel like just learning my process, as a facilitator in the space, it's definitely been very iterative. Like Lauren mentioned, just modeling the behaviors, or even just being able to model our values and talk about it, and for it to be a safe space for us to make mistakes or fumble in telling your story, for sure. I think another thing I wanted to add to what Lauren was speaking to was just the fact that we really level set in our community environment, and the way that we did that was just really reminding our people that we're practitioners and participants. So all of the different stories that we were trying to access within ourselves, and all the advocacy work that we've been learning about and doing and getting out there to at least try in terms of being activated for the first time as a community leader, as a lot of us were. I think that just, again, it goes back to that thought that we are all worthy and valuable, and what we have to say is really, really powerful. And I believe really within facilitation, holding space and getting in breakout rooms, or asking certain questions so that folks are able to get thinking and reflecting, but then also allowing folks to just recognize and access their power through understanding that they're important, they're part of the work, and they're moving this work through their engagement, however they choose to engage. So I think just having space for community members to think, listen, and learn those skills within community, very, very important to storytelling, even beyond using their voices. So really, I think it's just cultivating that sense of belonging, so where folks feel safe with wherever they're at, from wherever they're starting.
And that's something that Paris has really helped me with, because once I got activated and I hit the ground running, and I wanted everything to happen like right now, right now, right now, right now. And that was one of the lessons that I had to learn, was to meet folks where they are and to have that be part of the culture that we're trying to create. So I mentioned that we created a safe-ish space because it was really more of a courageous space. So it was a space for folks to come into and safely level up on things that they want to level up on. We provided a combination of life and leadership coaching, which folks could use, and which we all use to level up particular skills. And I can remember a conversation. Paris was talking about our worth as beings, and everyone has the same value, and that value is priceless. Because one of my coaches shared that with me when we were talking about how I was sharing with her how our perceived value generally dictates what we are capable of, who we think we are, and what we think we are. Often, influenced by our culture, will often limit us and put our ceiling on us. And oftentimes in this culture, it's based on what we do, what we have, and especially what we do. And if you don't do anything, or you aren't doing anything in our culture, then you are nothing in our culture. So our folks have heard me say many times that our American culture is filled with human doings, not human beings. Folks don't know how to just sit still and be. They have to be doing something all the time. And oftentimes it's meddling in stuff they have no need to be meddling in for no reason. And so if our perceived value is based on this doing and having, what is our true value? And like that coach shared with me, it's priceless, and it's based purely on breathing. So I am priceless purely because I draw breath. But we live in a culture where people can be considered to be a waste of the air that they breathe. So that's how upside down and shame-based and based on negative motivation instead of positive motivation that our culture is based on. And so I don't operate from, or at least I try not to operate from that space as much. Those old training, that old soundtrack don't go away. I'm just playing another more empowering soundtrack at a much higher volume to drown out the old one. That's part of that trauma work as well. Is you have to, you don't have to, but what I did was I learned how to do what I think causes a lot of harm in our culture, because I believe that all discrimination is it comes from self-discrimination. And so there's a story like over in Oakland of this white woman who saw these black men barbecuing, and she had some kind of experience internally that she discriminated against, and ultimately she had to call the cops on those dudes because they were barbecuing. Yeah, but maybe they were barbecuing someplace and it was not legal to be barbecuing there. But was that harming her? No. The problem was it was causing her to have a certain set of thoughts and some chemical reactions and what I like to call a recipe of sensations in her body that she heavily did not like. And that's her, that is a part of her, but because she was discriminating against that part of herself, she had to go and mess with the external world and make the external world change so she could feel better. And that's what drives all of our discrimination against others, because if we didn't have any problems with any of our internal experiences, whatever came up when she saw that, she would have been okay with it and walked on about her business. And so that's where I practice absolute self-appreciation. And that was the core of my ability to level up and be able to do things now that I wasn't able to do before, because all of my internal experiences, even though some of them can be challenging, are welcome to come and go as they please, because It's all energy. And if you discriminate against that energy, you're basically just stopping, filling up the pipe. Now, there's a lot of energy that needs to come after that, and it's going to come. But the goal is to be able to just move through the world with a sense of purpose and be able to everything that happens. It's not fine. It's not like a Pollyannish kind of deal. It's just I can handle anything that comes up, and not from a sense of bravado and a tough guy. It's just that I'm not in a fight with the world anymore. The world is a world. It is what it is till it ain't. I'm just trying to make it a different version. I'm trying to make that ain't real.
Okay. And we could do that as a community and as a people. Mary, looks like you got an idea.
Oh, I was just looking. Because I got up close to his board earlier, and I was thinking, oh yeah, he changed his own narrative. I love that. I love that. I was telling my son driving home.
Did you caught up on that? Because that's the most important narrative. That internal narrator that says who I am and what I can do. Yeah. When you change that, you change your world. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
I'm ready to change my world too. Man, no, absolutely.
Daddy, your world has changed so much in the last 5 years.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. And
you move through the world differently when stuff that bothers most other people don't bother you no more.
That's right. Overcoming that fear.
Yeah.
But to speak on what Lauren was saying, that's one of the things that I tell my kids when they start junior high. I said, you're going to meet a lot of mean kids when you're in junior high. I said, you need to know that their experiences are different than you, and that's the kid that needs a friend. Mm-hmm. So my kids, they took it to heart. We got all the lost puppies brought home. But it was good because it changed both of their narratives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you bring in like all your friends, your kids' friends.
Oh yeah, I've had them all at my house. I've had some of them here for months at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, their parents knew. I mean, I wasn't kidnapping. I made sure that was all taken care of. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a very important thing to me because when I was in junior high school, I was a little bit weird. I know it's hard to believe. I gravitated to people that didn't look like me, which also kind of put me as a target. And all I could think of is that person that doesn't like me doesn't know me. And that's what I want my kids to do. I want my kids to see a challenging personality, not as somebody who's a horrible person, but as somebody that needs to be heard. Mm-hmm. Because they're not getting listened to if they're acting like that.
Yeah. Side note, before I forget, being heard. So in these spaces where you're being heard, it's also part of healing. And there's another organization here in the community for anyone out there that also needs additional spaces. All the folks from the comment studios, there's grassroots poetry. And on the last Friday of every month at the Lynn House Gallery, they host an open mic poetry space. What you laughing at, Carlos?
I just uploaded the flyer right now. Stay out of my head, woman.
Okay.
I did a poem and you guys both missed it.
And I was gonna say this is another way of telling a story is through poetry.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's connect, to the community out there. Continue connecting in these spaces and be heard. Mary, I had to leave early. I'm sorry I missed your poem.
That's okay. I didn't know I was going to go say anything.
But you did.
Of course I did. I was feeling moved.
Yeah.
I felt moved.
Mama bear.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I do that. So there's other things that are, we're dying to pick your brain about is about, she's got some things noted here that are intriguing me. Change makers, guaranteeing income. I mean, so I'm kind of getting the vibe that you have like talk rooms for the community. Like I'm thinking Zoom, like a class, but it breaks off into smaller groups to talk about topics. So it's almost therapeutic.
No, not really. Well, I guess we are that actually just to level set. That particular iteration of the program is ending. We just had our last in-person meeting, and we're moving to a different digital platform. But we were meeting on Zoom weekly, and honestly, at first and for the first 8-9 months, it was just really about me learning how to be in community, because I'm like I was the one of the world's most dedicated loners. And so my goal throughout the day was to have the fewest number of social interactions as possible throughout the day. So we're all friends and I could see you in the grocery store, but if you hadn't seen me yet, I'd go to the next aisle. So just so we wouldn't have to have a conversation. That's how antisocial I was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, that's a big change to go from that to now I'm trying to build a community or expand a community that's all about finding measurable and sustainable solutions to poverty and, mobilizing folks out of poverty. And so the space kind of really got created organically as we just kind of explored and different things. First, when we got started, it was more of workforce development, more status quo, traditional, helping people level up their work skills so they can earn more money. But there wasn't a lot of bites on any of the things going on. We're still in COVID and all kind of stuff, and people ain't interested in trying to find jobs and all that kind of stuff. And so we ended up eventually after about a year in, getting introduced to a concept called guaranteed income, as far as something that might work for us as a community to basically find ways to bring in money into our communities. Because when I first got into this work, that was one of the first things that I noticed, was that even from all the money from the government and all the money from private philanthropy, nowhere near enough of it makes it to our streets. And so I saw that we had to figure out some way to play a role in our own local economic development. And so that's where the blue thing up there is about social entrepreneurship, which is really what I'm working towards now, and what we're working towards building is a legion of social entrepreneurs in Contra Costa County who can help address the local issues in their communities in their own ways, if we can help get them the funds that they need to be able to do it. And these are things that cities and counties don't have the resources to do. And so that's the space that we were creating and are creating. But it was really my vision of how I see us building this group was to be a farmer of leaders. Like, so I grow cannabis, and when you take a seedling, then once it gets so big, you got to put it in a bigger pot. Otherwise, it ain't getting much bigger. And then once it fills out that pot, you got to put it in a bigger pot. Well, I'm just doing the same thing with people, myself included. I keep creating pots that I used to think were too big for me, but now ain't no pot too big for me. That's doing the same. Did the same thing with Paris. I did the same thing with our other co-lead, Estella. Same thing with Miss Patty. I'm putting them in pots and allowing them to grow into those pots. It's not about being ready for the role that I need you to be ready, but because you only have to have two things: be willing and be able. If you are able to do the learning and the growing, and you're willing to do that, then you can help us in this work, and you will grow. And then eventually you'll need to go into another pot. And so that's really what that looks like. Yeah. And so we did eventually get to a point where it was less of me talking for 2 hours and just sharing information with the community to bringing in Paris and another facilitator named Lashare, and allowing them to begin to facilitate those 2-hour meetings and learn and grow, having to, develop the agendas and then actually come and deliver the program. And they leveled up those meetings tremendously, so much better than what I was doing. And I appreciated the break that it gave me, and allowed me to begin to focus on more areas that we could begin to grow in. And then Paris, other people, you bring other leaders in and they start bringing in other ideas. So Paris was like, maybe we can start doing small group coaching, because the coaching that I was receiving was all one-on-one coaching. And I've had 4 different coaches now. But Paris was like, maybe we could do small group coaching during these sessions. And so that's when we began to implement the breakout rooms, focus on coaching on specific areas like storytelling or on goal setting. And then eventually we implemented with the help of our coaching program, a coaching certification program for our community members.
Nice.
Yeah, so that they can now become certified by the International Coaching Federation. And then we can contract with our own community members when we need coaching instead of having to outsource. Don't get me wrong, we got great coaches, but none of them live in Contra Costa County. And I want Contra Costa, the money that we raise, as much as possible to stay in Contra Costa County. And so that's why we have to help our folks. The things that we need, we have to help develop those resources from our community.
Mary, you gonna say you got an idea?
Yeah, I'm just curious why you don't have those coaches here in Contra Costa County. I mean, what is your community? I know you're based out of Richmond, but are you national because of the internet, or?
Well, I didn't design the coaching program. It was done before I got here. And it's done by a coach who has a lot of experience in coaching, and they have a network of coaches that they've been working with for a while, and they developed a network of coaches that could address pretty much anyone in our population. So lots of coaches of color, coaches from the LGBTQ community. And so they were pulling from folks who had lots and lots of experience. So these folks coach like executives in Fortune 500 companies and things like that. So we got access to coaching that none of us would have been able to have access to if we weren't part of this program. So
Right.
I am very much grateful for that. But it's not cheap.
No.
That coaching is like, $200 an hour or $175 an hour. And I would like those funds to go to folks in our community who can also have a better contextualized, idea of what's happening here in our community. When the stuff came out about all the text messages and everything, having coaches who are local, who understand what's going on, can maybe not do a better job, but maybe have that sense of connection. People will be more comfortable, all that kind of stuff, because they're local. And, I'm all about building our local economy and getting the resources into, when I say resources, I'm almost always talking about money and bringing the money into our communities, and then it stay in our community, because that's one of the biggest problems that we have is dollars stay in our community for a minute, and then Louis Vuitton gets them, and Chanel gets them, and BMW, and all of the brands that we love so much. And we're going to spend all of our money, and it leaves our communities. And I'm trying to figure out ways to give us alternatives where we can keep our money in our community, but not only that, bring money from other communities into our communities, because that's the only way we're going to get the resources that we need.
Yeah, because you need the growth. If there's not growth and the money's not coming in, then you're like me and Carlos and Patty doing it for free every week because we love people.
We love people, and there's a need, and
our payment comes from the advocating.
Hey, but if somebody out there wants to sponsor us, we can put a little 30-second commercial at the end for you there.
We're about to go a little bit over time, y'all, but I think it's okay. I want to share a story real quick, and I want to let the community know that there's a housing crisis in the city of Antioch and in Contra Costa County and in the Bay and in our country. But we have neighbors that are experiencing just very bad living conditions and health in violations. And one of our advocates is recently, she's homeless now because the management played games. But this advocate, and I recommend this for everyone out there, if you're experiencing any confusion, if you need advice on tenant protections, please reach out to Monument Impact. We'll hook you up with the attorneys. But anyways, we're going to escalate this action for this advocate because she was victim shamed for her domestic violence. And she included me in the thread with the management from the beginning, but I never jumped in. She just made sure that we were in there and accidentally CC'd me. And we kept it that way until I saw that. And until they were playing games about her rent, her lease, and it was locked, and not giving her last month's rent and not allowing her access, and then saying it was her fault for violating her own restraint. It was pretty bad. So I responded. And within 24 hours, that management returned her her last month's rent. And she was so thankful. But I didn't do anything. It was her that documented and kept that storyline of the incidents that she experienced. But I told her, we're not done. We're going to get back her money, the difference of the increase. We're going to get back damages for the harassment and the pop tires. 6 pop tires. As soon as she started advocating for herself, 6 pop tires in the complex.
Was that at Delta Pines?
No.
Okay.
Parkview Village. I used to live there too. So the point, it's just important to document, tell your story, and not be afraid. We created I created a small video of the living conditions, and we're not going to stop until there's justice for this community member, but in hopes to also activate other members that are experiencing similar habitable issues or homelessness issues. We're going to rise up and activate. So get ready, Antioch and Contra Costa County. But yes. Do we want to share?
So at the very beginning, since we got to do a story, we talked about having a show and tell thing, and I thought that would be a good way to end the night. Yes. Each one of us has a little something, and Lauren is going to turn off his background to tell us about his. So whenever we're ready, Lauren.
We decided to have if you have anything that you want to share, a little anything.
Remember your
time.
I'll be back. I need to come out. I think I need to exit to turn off my background.
Wait, okay. Did you guys decide what you guys are sharing already, Carlos?
He kind of did like a 3-second thing right before the show started.
Okay.
Yeah. So it could be. It doesn't have to be an item. It can be something that's personal to you, a story, something.
But all of us have an item.
We were going to do it here at the end, so we can tell somebody something about ourselves.
I got an item.
Okay.
So Carlos, why don't you start while we wait on Lauren?
Okay. Well, the whole show I've been holding this cane right here.
Oh, he's logged out though, so he won't hear your story.
We gotta wait, huh?
Yeah, let's wait for Lauren.
All right.
Because he has
we need that. And there she go. Where are you going?
He's gonna grab
something.
She grab something too. All right. We need that. What's that music? Oh,
Jeopardy! I used to do that when I would raise my mom up and down on her bed.
What?
Because you know how slow the hospital beds go? I'd go.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They take forever, huh?
Yeah.
Sheesh. Oh, so this is the time we could tell Sharina, because she was asking for an email, the flyer.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we are gonna have it, the information on our East County Voices page on Facebook.
And it's
But
already there for you.
it's already there. It's waiting
And
for you.
please share it. It's such a fun event. You're gonna love it if you go. It's like one of those things that like it starts off with a good vibe, and by the end of the night, I mean it's like
Yeah.
a overwhelming vibe.
Look at there we go.
And they also do poetry hikes. So anyone in the community that wants to connect with nature and earth and just be in community, they also do that once a month.
All right, Lauren's back. Yay.
I'm back.
Yay.
So
He got a
this
cane,
is
too.
I saw that Carlos had a stick, so I had to go get a stick.
I got these.
And this is a stick that my cousin gave me when I first got to California. And back then I was having some pretty severe equilibrium issues. And so this became my walking stick. And so I don't know what country of origin it is, but it's hand carved and it's got really cool like patterns. And what it is, it's basically one
You're
long
welcome.
one stick, but it's basically shaped like a snake.
sick.
So there's the head of the snake right there,
Is it eating the person?
and it's eating the thing that the person is sitting on.
Okay.
That's a
Yeah.
hungry snake.
Yeah,
I love it. That's beautiful.
Yep, and so
Detail.
this is gonna be my companion when I get old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, dang, my walking stick ain't eating nothing, but this, yeah, they know I got some grip right here. But so this was made by a man named General Jesse Hurtado, and I say general because he's a general from the Brown Berets, and he makes walking canes.
Mm.
And one signature thing that he does, if you can see that,
Mm-hmm.
is he puts a cross on there. So everyone, he's a devout Catholic, and they sell. He's got the canes that he sells with the cross on them, and then he's got like, Catholic jewelry and all that too that he sells as well. But this one, and he had a bunch of canes too, but this is the one that stuck out, and I grabbed. I was like, yeah, this one's for me.
Nice.
So yeah. All right, who's next?
I think Paris went to grab something. So
Patty.
let's let Patty talk.
Okay. So during COVID, once upon a time, 2020,
So
I was in school. One of the classes I was taking was a multi-artsy class, and ceramics was one of the things. So I created a mug with a flower, but with a very important quote that I want all you beautiful people to know, that all flowers grow from dirt, which isn't necessarily true, because you have the other ones, the succulents that don't, or
Oh, air plants.
air plants, but the idea is that we all grow from dirt, from Mother Earth, from nature, and we're all beautiful, and there's space for growth wherever we go. And then I have a lot of feathers, because on many land navigation and military times, I would
She's
collect
back.
feathers at like the top of the mountains, and I had an eagle feather. It was beautiful, but during one of our protests, I saged around the police department, and then I left it there.
So
But that's the story.
so you got them feathers during the pandemic?
No, the feathers have been over time of
Got you.
different land navigation, and around Antioch too. Like this one's for sure a turkey one. This
I
one's
love
probably
turkey.
from the red-tailed hawk feather, I believe. These ones I bought from the store, but I love feathers and earthy stuff. Oh, I
Get
know
some
you do
vegan
too,
feathers
Mary.
out of my backyard. Paris,
Yeah.
you want to share something?
Okay, so you guys are so amazing. I was like looking around. the house for something, and I was like, no, I don't have anything to share. But like, I immediately thought about like my grandma, immediately thought about my sister. And I think something that's important to me, and probably to like all of you guys too, is just like always remembering your family, remembering like who you do it for, why you do it for them. So I wanted to share a photo. I don't know if you guys can see.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
my
Aw.
sister and my nephew,
Family.
one of my nephews, but like she was my inspiration. I know she's watching right now because that's just the thing that she's always doing, supporting me with everything. And then just
That's awesome.
honestly just being in an experience where I can not just see my own baby grow, but also like see her babies grow too. It is just such like a full circle moment all the time. Like everybody that knows me, like I'm always saying she's my first baby. My own kid is my second. But it is just like amazing just to have her in these spaces, to be able to like see how I'm growing, and she's just activated and so dope in her own right. So I just wanted
I
to share
love that.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
That's
Now,
beautiful.
now hold up. Now for what we've all been waiting for.
Yes.
Mary?
Oh, my
Mary,
tattoo.
go on. Look at that.
So my parents
Daddy.
recently died April 4th and May 10th. And my mother, before she died, kept asking me where the cardinal was. Where's the cardinal? And so I have two cardinals here, and I found out the meaning of the cardinal is a messenger between the living and the dead, and that it's faithfulness, loyalty, and forever. And so those are my parents. The heart represents my husband and I, whose auras are purple and blue. And that's how that was one of our first date things that really connected us, was the ability that we felt each other's auras.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the branch here, I've got W+M, which is, just me and my love. We've been together for 20 years now.
Okay.
So that's my memorial and my tribute to my mother and father, whom I miss greatly, and my husband, who's my rock and will always be with me.
Amen to that.
That's what's up.
That's
So
Wow.
sweet. That's so beautiful.
That
Thank
was.
Thank you all for sharing a little something of our. Thank you
I'm
for
sorry?
joining the conversation.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate that.
Thank
Hey,
you for having me.
that's
Yeah, come
that's
back again.
that's my son down there.
Hey.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Bowser?
Yeah.
I like that name. Where did you get it?
I have to ask him where he got it. That's his.
No, I'm joking. Because everybody else has their real name.
Right.
That's cool though. I like
Thank
it.
you for joining our space,
Yeah, thank
right?
you.
Yes.
so much.
Thank you guys for tuning. You guys for coming on the show, and
Thank you
Man.
for having me. Thank you for
For
having
having
us.
And the show will be posted on Facebook if you miss it, or if you want to
Yeah.
share it with your friends later, please do
or
so.
YouTube.
Yep, or
It'll be on the
YouTube.
East County Voices YouTube channel too, as well.
And if
Yeah,
anyone
but-
wants to be a guest, holler at us.
Holler at us. We want to
Everybody.
hear what you have to say.
I'll start
Come on
recruiting people.
You're going to
Right.
recruit for people for us?
Yeah.
We love it.
Folks that come in here and chat.
Yeah.
Good night.
It was a great night. Bye, guys.
It is past my bedtime. Just kidding. But before we go, make sure y'all tune in next week, Lord willing, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are on YouTube. We're on Facebook. So look us up. YouTube is East County Voices. Make sure you like and subscribe and share. Tell a friend about us. That's every Thursday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you all for being on the show. It wouldn't be a show without the community. So, and again, you guys want to get on the show, talk about your nonprofit organization or something you guys do, ministry, whatever, you know, come on the show. Get a hold of Miss Patty or Mary, and let's do it. So we'd love to have
Let's
you
do it.
guys. So with that, peace out, and we'll see you soon.